tells the story of Grace, who on her wedding night finds out she must play a deadly game of hide and seek with her new rich in-laws. And if you hear kind of a sound in the background, that is one of the cats making noises while they sleep. Now, I first saw Ready or Not in 2020 during the pandemic. And I was watching a whole bunch of movies during this time, like multiple movies a day for my horror. I had like a whole list. So when I first saw this movie, I just thought it was solid. I thought it was a good movie. Now, this is my first rewatch of the movie in 6 years, and I like this movie. I think it is still a really fun catch and mouse type horror movie, and I am excited to see what the movie next, because I have seen the trailer for the next movie. But because I forgot so much about this movie, I honestly was surprised by the opening, because I think that is a pretty solid opening for the type of horror movie that this was. I thought that was a really good way to have the family dynamic, to show what happened before and how they reacted before to how they react now. And the transition to the wedding was pretty smooth. I did like that. And Samara Weaving, I apologize for saying her name wrong, did a great job as Grace. So is the other character. I think this movie is very well acted. Although there were some characters and some things that didn't entirely work for me this time around, or little things I'm like, not a big fan of that. But those are like small moments, like maybe maybe only one or two characters. The comedy, I forgot how funny this movie was. The comedy still does work for me. Was there a couple of things, like maybe one or two things I'm like, that didn't quite land, that's like, doesn't quite land? Yes, but there were some really funny parts that I honestly forgot about, with the crossbow, because who even knows how to work a crossbow? And in the bathroom looking up how to use a crossbow, that was pretty funny. And I think, honestly, the dynamic of the family and having Grace's character from her background was very interesting. I did like seeing how that dynamic changed in the movie. I think they did a really good job with that. And for the most part, I think they did a good job with the gore and the kills that you do get, I think, for the most part. Now, when we get towards the end of the movie, where they explode in the CGI fire, now, the explosion honestly didn't quite work with me this time around. It doesn't like bother me too much, but it is something I'm like, that does not look amazing, but honestly, it could have looked a lot worse. It's fine. The explosion scene is fine. But then we get to the fire CGI walking out, I'm like, okay, that's not that bad. But when you get to like the windows explosion and more, it doesn't look amazing. So I didn't love that look like that either. But again, those are tiny aspects of the movie that I didn't jive around this time. And when it comes to like the curse of how they kind of got their wealth, and if they don't complete this or they don't win, they will all die. I like how they play with the ability of some people believing it wholeheartedly and some not believing it whatsoever, to the moment where they don't think it's true, and he's in that moment trying to figure out what is going on, and then they explode. Very, very funny moment there. But it ends up being a right curse, and do end up exploding, and Grace ends up seeing him towards the end, Mr. LaBelle, at the end of the table. And I think he looks fine. I think Mr. LaBelle looks fine, the small glimpse of Mr. LaBelle that we do get. Now, Alex's character, what a switch up. Now, this is a huge change for me. And I say this because my perspective of Alex has changed really dramatically from 2026. I've had a bad relationship between then, and I see semblance of Alex, so more or less, I don't like Alex more around this time. And I do have questions of like, why didn't the family go check if they knew Alex escaped and they couldn't see him in the room? Why wouldn't they check those kind of halls? They didn't check until they heard noise, which doesn't really make much sense, especially if you knew he escaped. Why wouldn't you check there? And that's a thought that really changed my mind going in. I'm like, why wouldn't you kind of like check the walls immediately? Why wouldn't you like look for rooms that he would know kind of where to get to if you know Alex? Now, there was some separation in the family. I know that how the mom asked to have Grace bring him back to the family, and have that dynamic of where Grace wants family. And it's going to be interesting how they handle it, because Catherine Newton is her sister in the next movie, so it'll be very interesting how they play with that dynamic, because family dynamics is a big part of this movie. Like, you see the two brothers and how one of them protects the other one, and how he just kind of is in this movie, how he's kind of on and off sides. Very, very interesting. Snowball's complaining. Been here for a bit. So I do think that is fun, but I just think that there's like small things, like why didn't they check like the hall? I feel that if he knew that was there and he knew that was there and didn't see him in the room, that would have been like the first place you would check. And all those small grievances I have, the most of the movie 100% does work for me. The only thing, they're like small dialogue that doesn't quite work, small like 1 or 2 moments of comedy that doesn't work. I don't get why the family didn't check the halls if they knew there was going to be there until they heard sound. And towards the end, the explosion effects very mixed on now, and the CGI fire, like, it just, the more I reach, I'm like, okay, that does not look amazing, but I've seen a lot worse CGI fire. It's okay, it's fine. And those are the small bits I don't like this time around. I think the acting still works very fine. The relationship between Alex and Grace, I understand a bit more now than I did in 2020s, and I do like how they kind of play with that in the movie. I think they do a good job of it. Grace is a really fun final girl, really good final girl. That nail scene, ooh, oh my god, I forgot about that one until it started coming up. That was still a pretty brutal scene. So overall, Ready or Not is still a very fun catch and mouse horror movie, and I'm very excited to see the next movie that we do get. I hope it's good as this one, maybe better, one can hope. Comment down below what you think of Ready or Not. Were you a fan of it? Were you not a fan of it? And what do you think of having a sequel to this movie? Comment down below, and I'll see you guys soon, because I believe next week we are talking about Ready or Not, Here I Come, which they should have not made the title. They said Here I Come. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys there. And here is that little talker. Here she is, waiting for me to leave so she can go back to sleep.